Hey folks, my name is Pravus, and welcome to more Whiskerwood in Hickory Dickory Dock. Why did I just say it like that? I don't even know. Anyway, in the last video, we actually accessed hydropower, which has been pretty nice for us. Haven't really expanded it massively, but we are producing some higher quality food, some higher quality services, and we are now making a ridiculous amount of fuel using our coal, which takes care of a lot of our food and our fuel needs for at least the immediate future. The more important thing is we have a ridiculous amount of wealth in the colony. We are sitting on huge amounts of copper, of coal, of cotton, and so on, which is awesome, but I don't want to take that for granted because while it's been good for us so far, I could see that burning away in just a couple of years if I am not careful with my management. So, with that in mind, there are a couple of things we want to do to take advantage of this position we're in and keep expanding out the colony. Research will obviously play a very big role in that. The problem is research is very slow and it does take a lot of copper, which still takes quite a long time for me to smelt, unfortunately. So, we're not going to get through all of this, very quickly. I'll need other projects in the meantime, but we do want to make steady progress. I think one thing I definitely want to do in this video is get myself the bronze smelting, which is going to get me access eventually to things like the fire tongs and the bronze nails as new forms of catalysts to speed up the rest of my production. And by the way, wait a minute, coppersmith, scissors. Did we ever build a coppersmith? Hold on, weaver, copper. Gosh dang it, we never did we? Whoops. All right, well, if you guys want to call me a dingus in the comment section, I can't say that I really blame you. I'll go ahead and place that down over in this general direction, kind of close to all my other resources. We'll go ahead and start making that. We've had a lot of issues with some clothing in the past, so getting myself some skizzers would be able to speed that process up, and it's a practical use for my copper bars. I think that makes sense. The other thing that I really think we ought to do is expand to another island, specifically this one. Why? Well, because a lot of my wealth right now is tied up in things like coal and copper, and while it's nice to sit on that money and it feels very good, I don't want to rely on this because I want to use this to advance my economy and my industry. The cotton will only go so far. We've only got about 3,000 worth of wealth there, so I need to continue expanding this lead. Lots more cotton means lots more wealth while I focus my materials elsewhere. So since we have a lot of money, since our population has been growing, I think we go ahead and expand out over here. We'll have to set up another small area of housing and some basic services just to make sure that our mice are going to be in good shape and don't have to travel too far. But we will be able to just start farming like crazy. Plus, there's a load of berries and flax and stuff to take advantage of. Also, eventually I think this will be a nice, sensible transition point into this island, which has a good amount of coal and iron ore, and I imagine we're going to need that at some point anyway. So that'll be kind of what I want to work on at some point. Now, getting myself some cut stone is going to be the big bottleneck right now. We might need to get ourselves another one of these stone cutters. It's only doing so much, even at 545% production speed. By the way, have you noticed that things are moving a lot faster all of a sudden? That's because I did find a mod in the Steam Workshop, which allows me to increase the game speed up to 10 times. And I'm not gonna lie, this feels a whole lot better. It is winter now, by the way, but so far it's been a fairly mild winter. Still above freezing, and we're already a quarter of the way through it. With any luck, it stays that way. I don't know. I am still gonna try draining this area out, by the way. I don't know that this is gonna be like a long-term part of my farming strategy, but I am curious just how fertile this area is. If it's a lot, then hey, that'd be awesome. For that, we need an ocean outlet pipe as well as a pump, and I now do have one of those outlet pipes. So I guess we just literally dump it straight into the ocean. Okay. Anyway, let's go ahead and plan out our bronze smelting. It would be kind of cool to do some conveyor belts as well, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm sure it's a great way to free up a little bit of the whiskers and stuff so they don't have to be sitting around on logistics, but the planning of that alone feels so expensive and tedious. I think, by the way, that somewhere down the line the developers must have updated the supply crates to not include machinery at the lowest level. Because I could swear I have not seen any for a while at this point. So I think they realized that when they're dirt cheap like this, it's just way too simple. Either that, or the game automatically scales some of those things as you progress to make sure machinery is definitely available when you're starting out with the game, but not later on. Well, let's go ahead and start planning out at least how we're going to cross over here. So one thing we could do is place down a covered bridge. Takes a lot of cut stone to do this, doesn't it? Yeah. I mean, we could try to dig, right? I could do that. It would take a little while and just create a giant underground tunnel. Then we never have to worry about things like the water and stuff, but I'll be honest, I think that's just gonna look dumb compared to a bridge, which sounds kinda cool and picturesque. So even though this is expensive, and probably not the best way of doing things, I'm gonna go ahead and just build out bridges. Ooh, but we're losing a little bit of approval all of a sudden. Oh, right, it's the pollution. Yep, it's winter. I'm trying to keep you all warm so you don't freeze to death. But sure, by all means, complain. See where that gets you. All right, ore furnace has an upgrade. We could swap over to a new recipe. So this would take copper and tin. So that's all it is. It's just one addition. Creates 5 bronze bars. Okay. I've got a feeling that we probably want to have a second blast furnace rather than use up this one, because I still need copper for a lot of things. But what it probably will mean is I want to start reducing my overall, like, production limits for copper so that we don't overproduce, because I need to save that for things that are more useful, like bronze. At least that would make sense to me. Do we have any extra apprentices sitting around? None of the right profession, so that tells me a couple of things. I need more apprentices, and I need to make sure we train up the right folks. Well, question. If I were to assign a teacher here for an apprentice, could I get some people of the right type? We don't have any miners, like harvesters, available. I do need at least one guild person, so I guess I'm okay with training this guy up. And then we could train up someone else, but I don't see the point. They'll just be simple farmers for him here on out. So yeah, this is fine for now, but it gives me a clue as to a few things I need to be doing once the next Whisker ship comes through. I don't know. I feel like I've got a huge excess of farmers, not much else. And by the way, I should have mentioned this in the last video. I caught an error in my editing, or at least something I was saying, and I tried to catch it using editing to let you guys know that I was wrong. If you want to know which type of population does well at a particular type of building, this is the symbol. Not this down here. This is just simple progress. It happens to be the exact same symbol as the people working in industry, but that's okay. So what it means in things like charcoal furnaces is, surprisingly, it's the Explorers Guild that is the most effective over here. Not what I would have expected, but I mean, okay. And there's our tax collector. All right, spring is truly here. The taxes flow again. All right, we planned this out, though, so only half is needed here. Let's go ahead and pay them the minimum amount of tax. Rip them off by about 1,900 or so, and that will preserve my wealth very nicely. Supply ship is back. Hi, it's you again. Okay. Don't really care about any of you, just care about Whiskers, which I think are on the way right now. Let's go ahead and resume some more housing construction projects things. What do we have? Nothing amazing. Do a reroll. Apprentice of the right type here, blah, blah, blah. Educated and inquisitive, learn faster in the school. Not useful once you're already educated. Did you know that? Mm-hmm. All right, bronze is now officially on the way. Cool. With that done, let's go ahead and start working on our catalysts. And I think I have to go ahead and push my stonecutter into overtime. It's a decent use of approval if you've got a lot sitting around here, and I want to make sure that these guys actually keep working through the night, because cut stone absolutely is a problem for me right now. I'm very tempted to say that we need to get ourselves another stone cutter. The problem is it takes a lot of apprentices. Still, probably worth it, since I'm going to be doing a lot of building projects, and wood is no longer even slightly a problem. Now let's start thinking about what a little town over here could look like. One small problem I see is if I have a place for people to live, like getting some services like baths and stuff will be a problem. And I don't want people wasting their time going up and down stairs a lot. Could always set up ourselves another one of those elevators, and that's fine, sure. But since I've got the time and materials, we should really think this through just a little bit. How many populations do I think I even want over here? There's a lot of room for farming. Like a stupid amount of room for farming. I'm gonna guess we want like, let's say 16 mice over in this direction. 16 roughly, maybe an extra 2 to 4 for a few extra like services like a cafe and logistics. So let's say overall about 20. That means I need 10 block houses. I could build them all down over here, I suppose, but meh. Whereas something simple like this and just stack them up like a block of apartments would do the job fine. Then I just need a couple of warehouses and the logistics hub like so. And I'm gonna do a regular bathing dock down over here. Nothing fancy. I don't think they need it. I need something low maintenance. There we go. Something like this would do just fine. It's nothing fancy at all, but it'll do the job. It's gonna be pretty cost effective as well, just based on the number of planks I've got. All right, I probably don't need nearly this much built right now, so I'm gonna pause a lot of the constructions I do have. But if I can get myself a whole bunch more farmers in this town, I think we'll be able to take advantage of this. Smuggler, my favorite person. Guess what? I've got a lot of woven cloaks for you. And planks. Look at all the gold bullion. I keep saying bullion. I know some people don't get this. Okay, hang on. I should probably explain. I'm pretty sure it is pronounced bullion. I understand that. It's been sort of an inside joke for me for a long time to say bouillon because it reminds me of, like, you know, those like chicken and beef bouillon cubes you use for cooking that kind of make like an instant broth. Yeah, that's been, for those who don't get it, I apologize. That's been a thing I've known about, probably a lot of you haven't known about, and I can only imagine how angry some of you have become as a result. I sincerely apologize. That was not my intention. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and use some of this gold bullion. I'll try to say it correctly from here on out just for some of you guys. And I'm gonna try to boost up my trust a lot and get some extra schematics here. We know that some of these schematics could end up being very high value for me. So yes, I'm paying extra right now. But if the result is it does get me an extra technology, that's well worth it. Okay, we could get the decorative fountain for free. I mean, it's not amazing. But I'll take it anyway because, hey, cool, if that's just one less thing I have to research, that saves me a lot. Do I want more iron and copper and stuff? I mean, the cut stone's nice. I don't need the tin. I'll just take the iron. I feel like the iron is very high value, even though technically I don't have a use for it yet. I don't think I'm going to be unhappy to have it on hand. New recipe there for the fire tongs. Okay, progress. Let's go ahead and grab those bronze nails. So at this coppersmith, right now I have a production limit on things like scissors. I do wish I could have multiple recipes running at once. That would be nice, but all right. Start using some bronze, make some fire tongs. With the fire tongs, we shall improve the production of both our copper and of our bronze. The charcoal furnaces I don't care about, really. These are just for emergency situations, but should never be a problem. So, in this spring, let's go ahead and start thinking about how we're going to be setting down a bunch of fields. We've got lots of rocks to clear out and stuff like that, you know? Also lots of berries and stuff that I would like to be gathering up, but, you know, we'll see. So if I were to set up a nice, beautiful farm like this, you can't get around the berry bushes. We'll have to get rid of them first. Wheat apparently is really hard to get good fertility. This is almost perfect. And yet it's still like, we only get a medium yield. Like, you jerk. Whatever, it's fine. I guess every crop has its own individual fertility rating. Well, I want to grow wheat more out of principle than anything. I want to find out what the heck happens. Let's not neglect our primary cash crop. I want lots and lots of cotton. Starting to pump this out, by the way. We'll keep an eye on this water level, see if it looks like it does go down. The graphical animation sure makes it look like the waves are still going through the rocks, but that can't be right. More taxes. We're starting to build up a bit of a cotton reserve. We've even found some rock salt now, which means I could start working on getting table salt and or saline, but I don't know if that's a priority right now. I want to pay a small bill again and probably just keep doing this bouncing back and forth between overpaying and underpaying. It should end up being pretty similar to the same amount of money, but this is a way of farming out schematics. I am concerned about our food situation again. As we have continued to grow, it looks like we are not quite keeping up. We are certainly not processing anywhere near fast enough right now. I'll get myself another smokery going. Hopefully that can help get some of the fish at least put to good use. But yeah, we've got to get that figured out and fast. That takes care of the last of the coppersmith recipes here. Conveyor belts? Probably what I should do next. Mushroom stew could also be an option if I want to start farming those out, but you need flour to make mushroom stew, so I'm going to go with no. What is the value of table salt? Would that be considered to be like a catalyst in a cafe? I don't see any evidence that's true, so I'll go with no. Well, we'll come back to that another time then. What about luxuries? Is this something that I could want? Stockpile the luxury goods, deliver them, we could start producing bedding. That would take fabric, which I guess I could do. But what's the real advantage of that, I guess? Just lots and lots of extra approval as you increase the housing quality a bit further? Yeah, it's just straight out more approval. That's all it is. Well, it's nice having approval, but I'm not, like, feeling very much in danger there. Let's just go ahead and grab the conveyor belts. And I don't even know what I need bronze nails for, to be honest. I got it because it sounds like a good idea, but I have no clue. Got our first round of cotton harvests coming in over on this island. This should only get better and better as time goes on. I am concerned a little bit about our storage capacity. We probably need to get more warehouses over here. Let's go ahead and get this large shipment taken care of. Oh, I see what table salt is for. It's the catalyst for your smokery. So if we want to get much faster smoked fish production, that's what we would do. That does make sense. Now, let's see. Not happy with the gifts you've offered me. Let's do a reroll. Boo. Do a reroll again? Okay. Table salt schematic. Sure. Let's just go ahead and pick that sucker up. So now if I have too much fuel, this is a thing I could do. Okay. I mean, they're sitting around doing nothing at the production limit anyway. I don't see any downside. Oh, hey, look. This place did empty out. Nice. Let's go ahead and tear this all down. So, out of curiosity, how fertile are you? Well, not fertile for wheat, I'll tell you that. Not good for berries. The devs lie? Maybe. Huh. I swear I saw something in the Steam forums of the devs saying, yeah, the ocean floor is actually pretty great. Was I just trolled? Is that how this works? Because this is like the worst I've ever seen. Well, we'll call that a giant whiff and a half and leave that as a monument to my embarrassment. At least until I can figure out if I'm doing something wrong, which is always possible. We're getting so much gold bullion right now, by the way. So phenomenal. I cannot believe I did not understand how useful that smuggler was going to be. I really just kind of figured, we'll be able to just grow this stuff forever. And to be honest, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal, right? Growing loads and loads of cotton would have been fine if the fertility were not constantly working against me. Conveyor belts are done. Okay. So now we can move resources along belts from input hoppers into warehouses. Industries can assign input hoppers as their output destination. So instead of saying, take all of the fish and bring it down over here, instead we say, bring it to a hopper and the conveyor belts will take care of it from there. Okay, fair enough. Now the thing is, how useful is that to me really? Because I've kind of already dealt with a lot of this. I've already got a lot of my industry close to storage. I guess where I could see it being useful is in places like this where I have lots of farmed goods being worked with, and I say, don't bother walking them all down over here, just have them transport automatically to a particular warehouse. That's kind of the only value I immediately see for something like that. Now, maybe if I wanted to have, let's say, goods being dropped off from over here and then carried over into the main city, like, I guess that could be a thing, sure. So you'd be placing down a hopper, like, let's say, one right there, and then there are some flat belts, which you could do something like this. There's also stairs to lift them up, and then there's a drop-down slide. Okay, so it's fairly versatile. Huh. I just don't immediately see a lot of use for it. It will be useful later, I can tell you that. Like, let's suppose that I colonize this island over here and turn it into a giant forestry operation. Sure, rather than have to walk the logs back and forth, I could see having a lot of that taken care of and then just dropping the resources over would make a lot of sense. Fair enough. But as it is right now, I don't know. I feel like it's a bit of a stretch. Got a mill over here now, by the way, so we can start grinding our wheat down into a flour, which we should use to turn into some bread to make sure my food goes longer, although I'll be honest, we've now got a lot of food all of a sudden. I did one overtime shift on each of the fishing docks, and it seems like that was enough to somehow keep things going. I don't know. Regardless, a bakery seems in order. Are we actually making use of table salt? I haven't seen any evidence that we're actually producing any. What's the issue here? We've got rock salt. No? We'll have to pay attention to that tomorrow, because I don't understand what's going on. Our sifting tower shouldn't have any issues. We've got water. We've got salt. Why aren't we making this? Output is full again. For God's sake. No, wait, what? Oh, it just doesn't accept it. Oh, that'll do it again. Gosh dang it. Somehow I keep doing this to myself. I really need to pay more attention to these things. It just doesn't always have like a little highlight that says, hey, output full, can't do anything. Sure, I've got the production limit notification over here. But if this thing's like, can't do anything, output full, I would also like to see a little bubble over that, you know? I just got a feeling that that would be helpful. Is there anything else I really feel like I need in this tech tier? I mean, the cannery would do what for me exactly? Take berries and bronze, turn it into 3 food. So it's another use of your raw food and bronze bars, but why would I want that? I mean, 2 berries becoming 5 berry soup, sure, that's not a 3-to-1 ratio you'd have here, but it only costs me a little fuel and some water, whereas this cost me precious bronze. Like, to me, I don't know that canning makes a lot of sense. There might be reasons for it later. When it says that it's, like, preserved for sea travel, this makes me wonder if this is something I'm going to be able to use later on. But for the moment, I'm going to go with no. Let's get the luxury supplier just because I want to see what this does. And then after that, I think I can skip the rest. Maybe we'll just get free techs as we give things to the cats. But we should go ahead and move on to Tier 2. There we go, we can get ourselves another schematic, I'll take that, and 13 machinery, don't mind if I do. So there's my luxury supplier. Okay, so I can have 4 workers working here, but to what end? That's my question. To what end? I guess the only appropriate thing to do is to actually build it, and we'll find out. Workers will stockpile luxuries and deliver them. Okay, so this, it sounds like, is very much like a logistics hub, or kind of like a warehouse of sorts. It's just a warehouse that requires people. But the difference is, instead of just stocking up resources, I'll bet you your mice don't go to the warehouses and pick up things like bedding on their own. So this just automatically distributes them to all the nearby housing. Okay, I am not going to be taking advantage of that anytime soon. But hey, at least we know what it does. All right, I think we're just going to go ahead and move on into Research Tier 2. This is going to take a long time to make. By the way, you know how I said before that I have to destroy everything under homes? Not entirely true. Turns out, you can destroy something directly out from underneath a building. It'll automatically place the struts and cost you some of the logs. So, I don't actually need to be stripping down everything from the top down like I thought I did. Kinda wish I had known that. I thought it was fairly intuitive that you wouldn't be able to do that, but you know what? I'm not upset that I'm wrong. How's the fertility looking so far for most of my fields? Pretty good, actually. Even my large cotton fields, like, they're not burning through their fertility as quickly as I thought they would. Just gonna have a really big space for them, I guess. I wonder if it actually is calculated on a per tile basis, and we just see an average number, or if I have a really large field that's mostly fertile, could I include some infertile tiles and it'll still grow at the same rate as everything else? I don't know. It probably doesn't matter that much. It's just my little engineer brain thinking, how can I manipulate this system? Also, how is our giant hole in the ground looking? We've definitely carved quite a lot out, haven't we? In fact, it's probably about time for us to be expanding the elevator a little bit deeper. Can mice dig too greedily in too deep? Is that a thing? I can't imagine so. They're just cute little mice. What horrors could they possibly unleash? Let's learn about mushroom stew from the cats, and I'll also just take a whole bunch of high-quality bread and some spices. Not that I need the food exactly, but, you know, I mean, it can't hurt. Anyway, I said we wanted to expand out the elevator shaft, so let's make sure we do that. We'll even set up a second elevator over here so 2 can be operating independently. The deeper we go, the more I'm going to like that flexibility. How much deeper can I go, though? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, 12 more layers. That is a lot! We could go so gosh dang deep in this stupid island, man. So dang deep. Food quantities are skyrocketing now, by the way. It's not just things like the fish. There's plenty of that going around, too. Loads of berries, loads of processed goods. It's all working out great over here. How are we doing on research at day 145? We are about halfway through Research Tier 2. Okay, well, still got a bit of a ways to go here. Looking ahead, like, what do we actually think we're going to get that's useful? I mean, the dining hall, sure, seems like a good idea, a luxurious place to eat. There's also going to be furniture if we want to increase living quality. Bathhouse? Now, see, this doesn't require just water. This also requires steam. So we're about to have a whole new way of messing with our water. That's going to be fun. The apothecary, taking saline and mushrooms. We're gonna have to start growing mushrooms at some point. Whisker launchers. I'm very curious how that's gonna work. Fertilizers, lots of tea, better ways of doing things with fish and berries. Gold smelting. Now this I could see being useful, because I've definitely got a lot of gold ore that I'm sitting on right now, and if all that turns into bullion, that can only be a good thing for me. Plus we'll have access to some iron bars. We can make iron pots, oil, threads from cotton, okay. And then, yeah, just generally lots and lots of steam and fluid control. Ooh, boy. Steam radiator, I am guessing, would be a very good way of boosting up the heat in an area without giving me a whole lot of pollution. Speaking of pollution, I'm a little annoyed. So these heating stoves, oh, they just turned on. Never mind. I was about to complain and say, why are these things on? They're supposed to auto-pause whenever the temperature's warm. I just realized it's winter. It's 5 degrees, so it's not warm. So everything's working exactly as intended. Does research really have to be this slow in the game, though? Like, for real? I mean, at 10 times speed, it's not that bad, but I don't want to complain too much in the sense that, like, really things do feel like they're blazing by with this mod. Like, what an amazing quality of life change. But even so, it does feel like it takes a very, very, very long time to do research in this game. Maybe that should be sped up just a little tiny bit. I also do have to wonder, what is the overall goal here in this game? Aside from just, like, being as big and powerful as possible, like, really what am I trying to accomplish here? Because if I look ahead at things like research, okay, sure, once we finish getting through all these techs, we move on to tier 3. We can start making our own soap, and we can start getting steam engines that power up grinders and make you more efficient, like types of industry. Fine kitchens, fine teas, spices, yeah, this is all cool and stuff. But to what end, right? Is the goal just to grow as much as I can without dying? Or will I eventually have the option to try and rebel against the cats? I rather doubt it, but I don't know. It just sort of feels like there's no official end goal in the game. And maybe there should be, but I don't know what it would be. Have we, like, unlocked any new policies or something that maybe I've missed? No, it doesn't appear so. Are these all just placeholders then? Like, are we gonna have options for new types of policies in the future that is based on technology? Or maybe some sort of civic development? Now, there's a thought. You want to have some sort of an end game for this. Not only do you want to have technological advancement, right? That's certainly a thing. But over time, you can start trying to, like, build out either your loyalism to the cats or rebelliousness. And that could lead to various different civic changes amongst the Whiskers. And at some point, maybe that's a way of getting different kinds of policies. Now, that could be an end game goal that I can get behind. Not telling the devs how to do their jobs. They made a pretty awesome game here. I'm just thinking as a player, that's the sort of thing I might like. By the way, I am completely filling up on storage again. All right. Man, what's a good way of dealing with storage once you've already kind of built some of this stuff out? I guess I could rip up some of my fields. It's no longer as necessary as it was before. It just feels wrong to do that. By the way, why isn't there a large storage in this game? I feel like there ought to be. There's medium storage. Alright, these guys really want me to build up some conveyor belts, huh? Well, here's the funny thing. I'm pretty sure building a hopper is, like, instantaneous, so this is not exactly a challenge. Plop. There we go. Done. Thank you for the approval. And then I just delete it. Fools! I'll fulfill my promises, but I'll break the letter of the law the second it's convenient to me. I'm storing so much stone. Holy crud. I mean, yeah, I've been mining out a lot of stuff. I decided to just go ahead and destroy this entire half of the island. Because, you know, maybe someday I want to have a nice big flat plateau to build off of. I don't know. But it was just like, wow, that created a lot. I don't suppose anyone wants to buy a bunch of rocks. Nah, that's too much to hope for. You know, though, I will complain about not having enough storage space, but it is a good problem to have. I'm glad that I have gross overproduction. Like, we've nearly doubled our wealth from the beginning of this episode. So whatever I'm doing is definitely working. Anyway, we finished with our next tier of research. Boom! What do we want next? Oh, heck and heck if I know. I guess instead of using flax to make thread, I could do the cotton gin. 1 cotton becomes 3 thread is a bit better than 2 flax becoming 3 thread. The only problem I see is that cotton reduces fertility and is not as reliable, whereas flax seems to be more or less just set it and forget it. So I don't know. Tea, however. Now, if I started making some tea, that would be a way of boosting up approval by a lot. We've learned that for sure. People love lots of tea. Oh, so many good options here. All right, let's just go ahead and start with the dining hall. All right, I'm gonna get rid of those worthless cafes and build out a gorgeous dining hall. Oh, another thing I meant to bring up a while back and I just never have. Have we had a single instance thus far of our Whiskers getting sick? Like, ever? Because I believe that what's supposed to happen is if they get really, really cold, then they can indeed get sick, and you're going to need to have some medical services to take care of them. This is why the medical triage exists. Although, weirdly enough, it's considered to be a bathing quality building, but whatever, but don't put that, just don't worry about that. The point is, though, we're supposed to have that, and if we fail, there are graves. But so far, I wouldn't say there's been any risk of my Whiskers dying. So this either means that there is intended to be a lot more difficulty in this game as it continues development, or I'm just brilliant and I have never had this problem because, well, why would I get anyone killed when I'm so perfect? Is that maybe a little arrogant? Yes, it is. Do I care? No, not really. Woo! By the way, we can get ourselves some tier 2 schematics from the cats now. Well, sure, I'll just take the jam pastries for free. So as we're developing new recipes, then I really do need to figure out how we're going to deliver some goods. Need to toss some flour in the hopper and send it back over here and start cooking up a storm. That's what we need to do. Anyway, I think this might be a decent place for us to end this video. We accomplished, I would say, all of our goals. We did advance in a technology all the way down to tier 2. I'm taking advantage of most of this stuff. A lot of it's just catalysts and it hasn't really been a problem so far, but as long as I keep rotating some of my recipes at things like the coppersmith, we've been able to boost up our production a lot. Food is looking phenomenal, our fuel is out of this world, we have all the raw resources we could ever handle, my approval is solid, and we even expanded over here to another island so I can farm out so much cotton that I'm producing a ridiculous amount of money. And soon I'll be able to start forging my own currency, also known as gold bullion, at which point I'm going to be able to make a lot of extra money that way too. So yeah, guys, I think things are going really, really well. I'm not sure how much further along we want to go. I'd like to be a completionist and say we at least can unlock everything, but without a clear end goal to work toward, at some point it's going to be superfluous. I think we got at least another 2 or 3 episodes in the series. That is my judgment as a professional. But if you guys have some specific ideas that I could run down, then of course I'd be happy to hear that in the comments section. And it's always possible that as we get further down here, we're going to discover something unexpected. So we will see. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If so, I would ask that you hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, make sure you hit that notify bell, and I will see you guys next time.